Welcome to Empowering the Working Mom podcast, the place where working moms find inspiration, support, and practical advice to thrive in their professional and personal lives while aligning it all with God. I'm your host, Latika Vines, a fellow working mom on a mission to empower you to embrace your God-given strength and resilience of balancing work and life while leading you to align it all with God. Twice monthly, we'll delve into topics that matter to you, from time management, advancing your career, mental health, your relationship with God, and so much more. Get ready for insightful interviews with inspiring working moms, experts, and thought leaders who'll share their wisdom, their experiences, their prayers, and their Tabitha moments. Because together, we can break down barriers, defy stereotypes, and rewrite the narrative of being a working mom. So get ready for your empowering moment. Welcome to the Empowering Working Mom podcast. Hey, working mom. Welcome to this episode of the Empowering the Working Mom podcast. I am your host, Latika Vines, and I am so excited to come to you this week to give you an empowering moment to help you take the initiative in aligning your work-life balance and career vision with God. I am so excited because today we have a special guest who is empowering you with the moment to overcome the challenges you experience in your daily activities. Shannon Davis is a Christian mom who leans on her faith, learns from her life experiences, loves her blended family, and embraces the challenges God puts before her. She is a content marketer, an entrepreneur, and the founder of the Happy Home Office subscription box, where she's spreading inspiration, joy, and community to mompreneurs and work from home moms. I am so excited for us to jump into this conversation with Shannon. But before we get into our episode, I want to mention how you can support this podcast. First, be sure to follow and share this episode with the first working mom that comes to your mind. And when this episode is finished, go to www.empoweringtheworkingmom.com to stay updated on our events, online community, and other initiatives to support you. Now, let's jump into this episode. Welcome, Shannon, to Empowering the Working Mom podcast. I'm so excited that you're going to be joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about you and Thrive Remotely?
So I'm a mom of four. I have a 22-year-old stepdaughter, a 15-year-old stepson, a 14-year-old son, and an 11-year-old son. So we have a full house. I live outside of Richmond, Virginia. And so Thrive Remotely, I am one of those mamas that juggles currently I juggle working a full-time job and running a business, but I originally was a work from home mom since the beginning of the pandemic. And one day, some days I feel like I'm superwoman, and then some days I'm just can't get it together. And one of those days when I just could not get it together, and I was feeling kind of blah because I hadn't been around an adult and I don't know when. And, the walls were kind of closing in around me some. I couldn't get motivated to even get my work done. I was just struggling that day. And I just thought to myself, man, there's got to be tons of other moms out there that experience this sometimes, and need some help getting through, and some inspiration, and just a little community. And I started to think about, well, how can I bring us together? I felt like we're probably, we're all on our little home island, our home office islands, all by ourselves, dealing with, juggling everything. And I thought of the subscription box. I thought of it because I was like, well, it's something monthly. I can include messaging. I could include products and inspiration and different things. And it just kind of snowballed until it turned into the Happy Home Office box.
That is so amazing. So amazing. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Whew. Talk about challenges during the pandemic.
Well, they
Yes.
sent us home after the pandemic, and then it was like, that was it. No support, no nothing, you know?
Mhm. Oh my goodness. Whew, what a time in 2020. Oh my goodness. Wow. But it's amazing because, you know, you understood that you were not the only one who was struggling,
Right.
during the pandemic. And there's so many of us who have those moments like you did, that defining moment where you lack the motivation and, like you said, the walls were kind of, coming in at you. It was a lot. So how
Mhm.
would you describe that juggle struggle that so many of us went through or are going through right now, and how do we combat that? How do we overcome that?
Yeah, so I guess I would describe the juggle struggle as balancing, work, home, kids, especially the work from home moms that, they're starting dinner and then they're going back to work and then they're picking up kids and then they're going back to work and then it's just a all day long ping pong kind of thing. So you're constantly juggling and you always feel overwhelmed because you're in so many worlds all at one time and you never have time for yourself because you have so many things to do for your family and your business or your work. So that's, I guess, how I would describe the juggle struggle. Some ways that I've found and shared to combat it are planning your weeks on Sundays, Sunday nights. That has been something that has become really helpful for me. Um, Sitting there so I know what to expect from my week. I know when I have appointments. I know when I have calls. I know what days I have what on so I can expect it. And I feel like that helps a lot. And then also time blocking. So, there's actually a book that I recommend that was in my January Happy Home Office box, and it is the 15-minute formula by Kara Harvey. And she explains how to time block and how just timing yourself for 15 minutes can help tremendously because you just tell yourself, okay, in this 15 minutes, I'm going to get X done. And when that alarm goes off, I'm done. I've done whatever I'm going to do, and then I'm going to move on. And that helps with anything from work tasks to home tasks to chores to, you know, anything really. So I have really liked using that process. Um, and then to help with the overwhelm, which is pretty constant, I promote what I call the self care timeout. And that's where the self care products come in my boxes. I try to promote, for people to at least twice a day. For again, you could use those 15-minute blocks, take a self care timeout. And this could be anything, you know, from taking a walk to giving yourself a home facial, praying, meditating, yoga, just something that makes you stop the noise in your head and focus on you for a small block of time and just take that time out so that your whole day doesn't go by and you haven't stopped all day long. Because when that happens, you just feel, you know, just depleted and exhausted, and you haven't given yourself anything for your whole day.
That is so good. I love the self-care timeout.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I need to trademark that
Yes.
because I
Oh
talk
my
about it
goodness.
constantly.
Yes.
It's so important. It's the little things. It's so important.
That is so good. We all need to adopt that. Oh my goodness. And so, there's so many things that you gave with that. And so many of us are on this juggle struggle bus, if you
Mhm,
will. And, let's be honest, with the new presidential administration coming on, and especially where we live, because we're closer to DC and we have a lot more federal government employees here in the DMV, there's a lot of people stressed right now, just because of not knowing what the future holds. And so, what you just said about the ping pong, you
mhm,
know, so many of us are going through that right now, you know? because it's the ping pong of you have this schedule that you've made already, and you're adjusting and trying to do the things, working from home, picking up the kids, going to the after school activities while you have your laptop and your work phone with you and doing the
Mm-hmm.
things. But there's so much, uncertainty and anxiety. But I love what you said for us to plan our week on Sunday, our upcoming week on Sunday. And then the time blocking is essential with that. And so I love that you said that. But the inclusion of the self-care timeout, I think that is top
Yeah.
priority, because with all the anxiety, with all of the distractions and everything that so many of us are going through, that self-care timeout forces you to take a pause,
Right.
and not
Right.
to be on this ping pong, this struggle bus, all the time. So I love that you brought out that
Yeah.
that self-care timeout. So
Well,
important.
we're all so busy, and most of us, put our kids first and, have demanding careers. And so I like to call the happy home office box like self-care on autopilot. You don't have to think about it. That thing's going to come once a month. It's going to deliver you some inspiration, some self-care stuff, some, seasonal desk decor, stuff that will bring you a little joy that will, I actually have subscribers that will tell me, I got my box, but I haven't opened it yet because I want to make sure I have time to sit down and, like, it's a whole thing. They sit down and they want to enjoy it. They're not just going to open it while the kids are running around and everything else. So I love that I've kind of created that for people, and it's, a whole experience.
Yes, that's so amazing. So tell us a little bit about what you put into this box and, why it's so important for us, for all of us to have to subscribe to.
Yeah. So the Happy Home Office box, you know, the main thing I wanted it to do was to deliver inspiration and self-care and encourage working moms, to live their best life and reach their fullest potential. So a big part of my box is every month it comes with a newsletter that usually has, well, every box is themed, first of all. November, for example, was warm and cozy. So they're kind of fun themes. December is holiday vibes for mom. So I get creative with them and have fun with them. But they start out with a message in my newsletter that is inspirational. And I'm a very, I guess, right from the heart kind of gal. And so I include that. And then I include a monthly challenge that usually is around, sometimes it's around the theme or the subscriber spotlight, because I also include, and I just recently started doing this, a subscriber spotlight where I have a questionnaire that a subscriber has answered, and they talk about their business, their kids, their challenges, how they overcome the challenges of working from home and different things like that. And they can share their information about their business if they want. And that kind of helps us feel connected to people, and then I also include information about, of course, all the products. But the challenges in there range from anything from, organizing your space to looking at yourself internally and asking yourself some serious questions to, they really range. But I always try to put something in there every month so that we're always working on ourselves and improving ourselves, either, professionally, personally, as a mom or what have you. And then on top of that, the products in there, um, so they're usually in the categories of seasonal desk decor, self-care products, aromatherapy, accessories for your, video calls, helpful books, unique office supplies. There's a recipe in it every month as well. But I like to do things where it, helps us appreciate the small things, like, taking notes with your new favorite pen, or finding a new brand that you love, or, enjoying a scent from that, a burning candle on your desk, things like that, that just bring us a little bit of joy. Plus, we're working on the challenges. Plus, we're feeling connected to other working moms.
That sounds so refreshing.
I'm trying. It
You're you're doing it.
it has evolved. I will say it has evolved from when I started it, and I feel like I do a really good job. I definitely put my heart and soul into these boxes because I really want to help other working moms like me, and so I really enjoy it. I've always wanted to find a business that I feel like I'm actually helping people, and I finally have found that. So I'm so grateful.
That is it's the impact.
Right.
It is the impact and you ensuring that the moms who are getting this happy home office box, every single thing, every single product that is in the box is impactful because like you say you're delivering that inspiration, that joy, and you're doing that with every single box, every single
Hmm.
monthly box. And so that is impactful, because we receive many of us, myself included, we have these monthly, subscriptions,
Hmm.
but they're not impactful.
Yeah,
There's,
there's a million subscription boxes out there, but
yes,
mine's definitely in the category of you know, something that is impactful, like you said.
yes, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, the goal is for the box to actually literally help you through your month.
That's so like so amazing. And the fact that you include home office supplies that are unique and that in itself,
Yeah. This year, and I find really cool stuff. This year, the most popular product was a pen diffuser. So it was a
ooh,
very nice pen, and it actually had a diffuser at the top that has essential oils in it, and these little things you can pull down. And one was for calm, one was for focus, one was for energy, and it was whatever thing you wanted. You pulled it down, and that essential oil, like you could smell it while you were writing with this very nice pen too. And that was like the most popular office product all year.
wow. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. And I was like, I love it when I
Wow.
find stuff like that. I was like, oh, I didn't know that existed.
Yes. See?
Yeah.
See? That's why we need your box, Shannon.
Yeah. And I mean, I've found new brands that I love that I'm like, oh, and now I buy things from that because I didn't know.
That's so amazing. That's so amazing. And so you
Yeah.
have this happy home office box monthly subscription for the working moms out there, both full-time career professionals, also side, businesses, and then you're full-time entrepreneurs. And it meets everybody, which again is impactful. And so for those working moms who do have the business or the side or are full-time entrepreneurs, why do you believe they could be missing something and that something being God in their business, how they're operating in their business? Because we talked about that juggle struggle,
Hmm.
and the ping pong. And then you bring that joy and that inspiration, but there's also something that's missing from so many of us. Why do you believe that what's missing is God, and how can we incorporate him into our daily activities?
Yeah. Well, especially business owners that have an audience. So this actually was something I recently realized myself. I heard somebody very publicly just deny God, and it affected me like to my core. And I kept asking myself, why? I mean, any Christian would be upset, but why am I this upset about this? And I looked inside a little bit and I realized, well, Shannon, it's because you feel like you're doing this because you don't talk about him, because you don't put him in your business. You have an audience. What have you done? Um, and so, it just made me start thinking about that. And I prayed about it. And I think that's step one for anybody is to pray about it, and ask God, how can I, serve you with my audience? What can I do for you through me. And then start small. So, for example, my box has never been a faith-based box. I, purposely kept religion out of it. But now, since that happened, I just feel like, that's a part of who I am. And I don't feel like anything is more motivating or inspirational or anything than God is. So I'm going to start including him you know, and I think I'm going to start small. I think I'm going to include like a monthly verse in my messaging with my newsletter, and I got a Christian ornament in my December box coming, but I'm just starting small, but I'm going to grow, and I feel really good about it, and I feel like it just makes me feel like my box is coming together and I'm moving in the direction he wants me to. And I think when you pray and you listen, you'll find those little ways that you can do that too.
That is so good. That is so good. I'm, I'm sorry that you had that experience of witnessing and listening to someone. Um, but I'm also grateful that you had that experience because
Me
of that
too.
self-reflection, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
Um, because it is like, as business owners, it often frowned upon for you to bring quote unquote religion into anything,
Yeah.
because that's not the way business is done. And we know in a corporate setting, there's the church and the state separation,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so when you come into the doors of corporate America, all of you has to stay at the door. And as you enter the door, you have to go to work. You have to do what is necessary for the organization.
Right. And that can be very struggling. That can
Eh,
be a podcast of its own.
listen, but it we're often told that we have to be in these boxes in certain environments and that we cannot be ourselves, even though we hear the word authentic, even though we hear the phrase be yourself. We
Hmm.
really are not encouraged to be authentic because the fool, you and me, is I love God. And because I love God, I love his people. So I'm going to obey his commandments. I'm going to follow his will, whatever his will is for me. And that is often frowned upon because it's not what folks do.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. And it makes me sad. And I recently actually made the announcement in one of my lives that I did. And I said in the most polite way possible that, I kind of explained why I felt the way I did and what I was going to start doing. And that I hoped my subscribers understand. And, if they are, if that's not them, they can ignore that part or unsubscribe. If it's ends up being, if you don't like that, then okay. But this is the direction that he's sending me in, and it's what I'm going to do.
I think that's so important for all of us to recognize is that you acknowledge where you are and you acknowledge how much help God is to you. And you
Oh yeah.
acknowledge,
I wouldn't even have this business if not for him. Yeah.
right, right. But you acknowledge that. And I think that's so important for all of us is that we have to acknowledge that God is the center of everything. He's the center of everything that we do, our entire being, because the
Yep.
Bible tells us that we're made in his image, you know? Um, but the fact that you said, okay, God, not only am I going to do your will, but I'm going to do what you've asked me to do, and that is tell other people.
Hmm.
And you did that. You took a leap of faith and you did that. So I just want to pause and give God praise for what you did, because I know that was scary, but you did it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I want you to take a moment to sit in that because God was happy when you did that.
Yeah. That was a huge step.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. And now that load, that burden that you had is off now. It's off your shoulders, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's so important for all of us to understand that where we're not being our true selves, there is a burden on our shoulders.
That's very true.
A
Yep.
huge burden, and that has been lifted off of you, Shannon. So thank you for sharing your very personal experience of you understanding that, hey, something here has to change.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to ask you what your Tabitha moment is. And you kind of shared. But in Act, it mentions of a young lady named Tabitha. She was a servant of her community. She was providing and doing what was needed for others. But one day she became ill and just died. But because of her good work, the Apostle Peter, when he heard about her death, he came and he resurrected her, and she became well. She then was able to continue to serve her community and do all the things that she was destined to do. But like Tabitha, I believe that working moms are just like her. We work until one day we become physically, emotionally, or spiritually sick. Was there a time in your life where you became physically, emotionally, and spiritually sick and needed resurrection? What was your Tabitha moment?
Yeah, it's actually something I haven't shared. I'm going to share a little bit of a different story that's outside of my business because I feel like it is really impactful. So I was married for 8 years, and I underwent a lot of therapy. And in therapy, I finally learned what emotional abuse was. And I learned that, and I was very emotionally torn down. And I learned that, and then I learned that in the Bible, it tells us that God does not want us in abusive marriages. And when I connected those dots, finally, when I finally connected those dots, I couldn't leave fast enough. And I left. I bought a house for my boys and I. I took everything I had to buy that house. I bought a new house for me and my boys. And I was like, okay, this is starting over, that here we go. Not a month after I did this, I got laid off from my job. And when I told people that, they would just gasp. They would, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? But when I tell you that my faith just pulled me through that like nothing, I would literally tell people, it's okay. Me and God got this. Because when it happened, I said, Lord, I know you don't want me to go back. I know that's not the plan. So I know you have another plan. So I worked hard and I prayed, and my faith just pulled me through like it really never has before. So I feel like that's a really good Tabitha moment to share.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so many of us can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot, but my faith was, whew,
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely what got me through.
Yeah, so we need a part two.
Yes. We could probably do a part 2 and a part 3.
Yes, we do, because so many of us have experienced that, what you
Mhm.
went through. We've experienced it, not knowing what it actually was.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I praise God for therapy, because if it wasn't for therapy, so many of us wouldn't know how to have those type of difficult conversations, to that would land us into, certain positions. Um,
Right.
but that's what therapy does. It gives you the strategies, and it allows you to build the confidence to have those type of conversations and make those decisions.
And it
Um,
allows you to understand what the
yeah,
heck is happening, because when you're
yes,
in it, you're a young
yes.
wife with young kids, and you don't even know. You're not
No.
happy. You know a lot of things, but you don't realize, and then it's like, "Oh." and it was
Right.
like light bulbs, and then it was like, whoo, like a light switch.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, I'm very passionate about helping people in similar situations as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, we just need you to come back and we need to finish this.
We can do it. We can do it for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us today on the Empowering the Working Mom podcast. You've given us so much, Shannon, and you've allowed us to understand how to overcome from that juggle struggle, which I absolutely love. How to use the happy home office box, which I can't wait for folks to get their hands on. And then how to include God in our business. And by sharing the Tabitha moment, you allowed us to feel your faith, to feel your faith and understand why your faith in God is so important and why it was important for you to share with your clients, your subscribers, and why it's important for so many of us to go back to the things that we went through, but what God had done for us to help us to overcome. So I want to say thank you for being here today and sharing with us. Really appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's do it again sometime.
Yes, we have to. So how can we keep in touch with you? How can we subscribe to the Happy Home Office box?
So my website is thriveremotelybox.com. On Facebook, I am at Thrive Remotely. Instagram, I am at Happy Home Office Box. And TikTok, I'm Thrive.remotely. And LinkedIn, I'm at Thrive Remotely.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Cannot wait for us to get into that. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Empowering the Working Mom podcast. Remember, you can support this podcast by following and sharing this episode with the first working mom that comes to your mind and by going to empoweringtheworkingmom.com to stay updated on all of our events, our online community, and the initiatives to support you. Now, to keep in contact with Shannon, please go to our show notes, which will have all of her contact information and social media handles. So until we meet again, remember that you are empowered working mom, and this has been your empowering moment. Go do what thus says the Lord. Take care. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Empowering the Working Mom podcast. As you reflect on the empowering moments, remember that you are not alone in this journey. It takes a whole village to be a working mom. Discover how big your village is by joining fellow working moms in our private Empowering Working Mom online community, where we continue this conversation and support each other every step of the way. Until next time, you got this because God has you.